Hello. Yeah, I'm assuming a lot of all I don't like getting into politics on here has seen all that crazy stuff going on in America at the moment. There's basically like street battles going on, people getting shot in, where was it, in Wisconsin? But yeah, that was pretty crazy. I got sent some videos of that this morning when I got up from bed, and I was looking and I was like, oh, bloody hell. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. So appropriate headwear for tonight, I guess. Yeah, if people wanted to talk about what they could buy for protection from rioters and looters, um, I can go into that. I don't want to obviously give advice when people are saying, like, how can I hurt other people, dodgy shit like that. But I'm perfectly happy if people want to ask about, like protective helmets, vests, all that sort of stuff. I'm all right, thank you, Grenadier Redact. This is a Russian Riot helmet, the modern Russian Riot helmets. The only thing is the visor's not all that big on these. It's a pretty compact visor. It depends if you mean the political movement, military bushcraft island, or people who are just rioting, sort of thing. Sorry, hiccups. So basically, obviously, the very Marxist sort of political organization I don't believe in. Obviously, people who want people to have equal rights have no problem with them. That's a sensible thing. When Corona's over, white milk, which is going to be a long time away. That sounds fine, Jake Webb. I assume that's like a 3M style one. Sounds absolutely fine. All right, Stoic Jedi. That's good, Albie, mate. At the moment, Preppers Shop in the UK have quite a lot of well-priced stab vests in. If anybody, wanted to get a stab vest, I could get some retro Riot armor on, couldn't I? Actually, saying that. There we go. Let's put one of these on. If I can get my arm in. There we go. Not line that up very well, have I? There we go. That's better. So yeah, some retro Riot armor. Yeah, as Marcus says, if you're in the chat, don't obviously threaten people or do anything too political. The time here is currently 1 minute past 8 p.m. M1 helmet liners, can't you just get them on eBay? You should be able to get the plastic ones. But yeah, so for those of you that didn't hear, it was sort of all the Corona stuff and whatever else. I've now seen some of those videos from America of people literally gunning each other down in the street. Yeah, most Riot helmets are pretty good. I just wish this one had a longer sort of face visor because, as you can see, that doesn't actually protect most of my chin. If I eventually get one, Ivan, I'm sure it'll go well with this Riot helmet. That's cool, Peterson. No idea, some CBRN. I know how you do it with British Mark 6 helmets. You have to get the mounts that you unscrew the inside, then they basically go on, you screw the insides on to connect them to the helmet through the liner. Essentially like a sort of nut and washer sort of system. And then you just mount the visor on. So I don't know if the Pasket visor is a similar thing to that. Well, the problem is World War II helmets don't have face guards on them. But I suppose if I had to have any World War II helmet for riot protection, probably the USM1 helmet, just because of the 2-tier liner system. Oh, I'm glad you find it interesting, RoboGamer. Yeah, that's a flak jacket. It's the old retro British Army Northern Ireland one, which is like a clone of the US Vietnam one. That's cool. So yeah, if you had the M1 Riot Shield face piece of an M1, it would be pretty good then. I'm right. Oh, yeah, I've got a load of other vests. I'm just wearing this one today because I thought, why not? Just for the stream. But yeah, bulky vest. Because that's the thing with obviously the old ballistic nylon vests. They're so much thicker than the Kevlar ones because they had to be thicker to be protective. Where obviously with Kevlar, they could make them a fair bit thinner. No good hobbies, Alf, other than gambling and drinking. They're not really good hobbies, are they? Wow, all the weird stuff that's going on, Camus, like, coronavirus, I think, is accelerating other things. Yes, for what these are very heavy. I mean, it's a soft jacket, so it's not got plates in, but these are still like probably 4 or 5 kilos for what they are, where a similar Kevlar one would be like 1.5 kilos, just because obviously these vests are full of really thick ballistic nylon. All right, Mike. So far, we've not had many crazy comments on this stream. I think I had one person I had to block who was saying that, I look like I'm pretending to be an adult or something, wearing oversized clothes. At the moment, TS, probably yes, just seeing how overpriced most masks are. $150 for an M50 isn't bad at all. The best thing you can get, Crazy Egg, but it's very hard to find them for sale, is the modern thermoplastic plates. If not, just get modern ceramic plates or lighter steel plates. If they were going to do that unknown Russian, it would have to be sort of things like revolvers, not semi-automatic pistols, just because of limiting the speed they can be shot. But I don't think they're going to change the law anytime soon. It's hard to say, Grenadier, because I don't know what you currently own and what your budget is. Well, John, it's even though I'm not a prepper, at the moment it's kind of crazy, isn't it? You've got like horrible rioting going on in the US, you've got a deadly pandemic, and then people are still saying, oh, you don't need masks, you don't need any body armor, You think you must be smoking something if you think, all these things are going on and you don't need any protection. Yeah, so the only issue with this helmet is obviously the visor doesn't really cover much of your face, which is a bit of an issue. Yeah, I'll take that off now. Probably do a cutting my hair again, I imagine. The thing is, this is a really comfortable Riot helmet. It's just I wish the visor was a bit longer on it, because as you can see, the visor on this only really goes down to, like that low on it. It's a shame you can't, I suppose it's because it gets stuck at the ridge there, and obviously that bit stops it going lower, but you sort of hope that it could have maybe gone a few more inches down, because obviously you don't, yeah. Not really Stoic Jedi. I suppose I could do one on EDC at the moment with all the corona masks, but I sort of did something similar to that recently. Most Riot helmets don't have a visor that locks down. It's just sort of, held under a bit of tension, but they're designed so you can just put them up and down easily. Stuff that's rainproof, camas is the best thing, just because it's very easy to wipe down. Yeah, just this time between China and the US, not the US and the Soviets. So do you mean hat as opposed to helmet? Ian explains. I'll have to have a think about that, because other than some World War II berets, I don't really know of many World War II, hats as opposed to helmets. As in, when you say carbon fiber, do you mean like this stuff, ballistic nylon style fiber, or different types of fiber? In theory, anything, if it's thick enough, is going to be protective. The issue is, what will the weight and bulk be with enough thickness to be protective? Yes, as long as it's not one rocky mountain rider where the filter gets in the way of like the helmet seal. The Virtus is much better, but bear in mind the Virtus is going to cost you like 5 times the price of a Mark 7. Do you think you're going to be shot at? If not, Mark 7 is fine. If yes, you're on the Virtus, just because the Virtus is actually bulletproof or bullet resistant as opposed to, handgun resistant. We've got a person joining here just to try and insult me, so goodbye. He's saying, let's be honest, your masks don't help you. Well, they fucking do, because I couldn't go out and wear them and not risk infecting myself and other people. But, if you don't like masks, I don't see why you've bothered coming onto this channel. Why don't you go back onto your channels where people talk about how vaccines cause autism or something like that? I don't want to encourage people turning into a lynch mob on here, but, I think somebody's a bit of an idiot if they come on here to try and argue against the stuff we always talk about on here. Right, if you're not on mic, I'll either play a game or watch a film. I bought the new Flight Simulator, but it's just taking ages to download because it's like 72 gigabytes. I had Magnum boots years ago. Magnums are pretty nice until obviously I wore them down. But Jimmy, that's the sort of political questions we don't ask here. Thing is, I wouldn't mind telling you my opinion, but it's bound to cause a shitstorm. That's why we don't go into it. Well, there's a really good design for cheek filters, and that's things like the M50, where they're sort of like clip-on ones rather than, screw-in filters or inside the cheek filters. Let's see if I've had any more really stupid comments on that Corona test video I did. Let me have a look. So, comments, are there any held for review I've not responded to yet? Oh, that's a shame, there aren't. I've probably replied to all the comments now. I know, they're all sensible comments on there now, but remember I had the comments on there like they do it to steal your DNA and whatever else. Well, that's a load of bullshit, isn't it, Steve? Because we all know that that's the danger. Those people that are asymptomatic can still spread it. Yeah, as I've said earlier, I've been doing that literally every day I have to go out because it's mandatory you wear a mask here now. So, of course, I'm going to wear a protective mask, not just a piece of cloth. The World War II SS camo stuff Ian explains from World War II looked pretty cool. I love Pascot stuff, though, as in, like, 80s woodland-looking stuff probably the most. Oh, we've got our second COVID idiot on. Goodbye. Yeah, that's not going to work out well, I don't think, in the long run, Lord. I mean, if it turns out Sweden ends up having better numbers than everybody else without as much economic damage, that would be brilliant. But sadly, I think it's just going to bite them in the ass if they try and, do lots of stuff to not restrict movement. I'm still waiting for some actual questions, because remember, if people are talking to each other, make sure you @ in a person's name, because otherwise I can't tell if you're talking to me or other people. Well, you mean early on, before it was mandatory, people thought it looked a bit weird, but some people actually wanted to know where you got the masks from, because they wanted them for themselves, you know. But yeah, it was a combination of people either thinking it was weird or people wanting to know where you got the mask from, because they wanted to get masks to protect themselves and their family. But now, you know, everybody wants to know if you've got a good mask, because it's legal to like go out wearing one. I've covered that a lot of the times recently on videos. The masks I always keep in my car for when I'm out and about, like full face masks, are the Spaziani TR2002 and the FM12. Well, the problem is, Jay, what sort of do we mean by an NBC situation? If you mean like nuclear war, you won't survive. That's NBC situation. Myra don't actually make that mask, Phil. They just rebrand it. So don't refer to Myra when you talk about that mask, because you're giving them credit they don't deserve. You'd want something that's quite strong. What I'd actually say to Martorvate, because I've just seen videos where it actually performed well, the Zelensky Mag 9, just because there's videos where people are shooting it with birdshot and it takes quite a few hits before the mask actually breaks apart. Yeah, I think some people are asking for a Darwin Award, though, aren't they, Aiden? Like that, where, you know, they're being advised to wear masks and then they're completely refusing because you can't tell me what to do. We've got the exact same sort of group of people here, though. Wow, if a store told me I couldn't come in, I'd say I'd take my service elsewhere, but I didn't get any problems anywhere, actually. We were on about that earlier in the thing, Adam. Yeah, basically just civil war on the streets of the US, basically, is what that was. £50-ish, probably get some sort of motocross armor for that price, I'll be made, because for £50 you won't get proper Riot armor. No, they're all over the world, Hayden. I'm definitely used to people sort of saying, I'm going to report you to your manager because you've just simply answered a question they didn't like the answer to. What are you using the filters for, Tactical Pirate? If it's just for Corona type stuff, it'll be fine, because particles don't really cause filters to expire. It's more like the vapor protection where filters expire. I've done a video on it, and I don't like the Czech M10 at all. I actually like the bag the M10M comes in, but it's one of the worst cheek filter masks, in my opinion. Well, that is fucking bullshit, because I've got asthma, although it's not bad asthma, and wearing a mask does not affect my asthma at all. And if they got corona and they weren't wearing a mask, they're going to certainly need to be on a ventilator if they've got asthma. We were on about Gamer Troll, Riot protective gear, and whatever else because of all the stuff going on in the US. Weapon Collector made me a really good slingshot, but I've not had a chance to use it much, sadly. In my local area, it's not too bad, thankfully. In some other parts of the UK, it's more serious. So there's like local lockdowns. But unfortunately, because there's lots of people that don't want to follow, you know, getting tested if they've got symptoms, not going out if they've got symptoms kind of stuff, the numbers are going up. Well, as I was saying, the stuff going on at the moment is pretty crazy. So it wouldn't surprise me if some sort of, you know, bigger stuff kicks off in America. I hope it doesn't, but, you know, the way things are going, when you see people, you know, openly shooting each other in the streets due to rioting and all that, you think, fucking hell, especially when in some of those states, because they're like Democrat states, and this is going to be as political as I get in this stream, they don't want Trump to send the Guard in because then it makes it look like they failed in their job, rather than, you know, having the National Guard sent in to help control the situation. So more people, you know, essentially get killed and their stores looted because they're trying to be like, oh, we don't want Trump's help. Right, the person spamming the question that's already been answered is getting blocked. We've already gone on about over it several times. Camus is pretty shitty, isn't it? But like I said, if you're in America, you really need to think about protecting yourself and your family with everything that's going on. They're generally not going to bang into things, Sam. As in, if you wanted one to be compact, you've not got a filter sticking out the side. There's a thing called Section 1 and 2 firearms, Chadiversity, and there's obsolete firearms. If you accidentally hit someone, you can unhide them. Oh, there we go. Marcus worked out how to do it. Not as much as I used to shed on fire, but it's worth training with them. Just the problem is at the moment that sometimes if I go out in my garden I'm using by one of my neighbours starts complaining at me, which is one of the reasons I've not been doing as many videos outside of crossbows and bows, just because it's not worth the effort of getting into an argument. Let me think, Stoic Jedi. So you've got your head protection, you've got your shield, you've got a vest. I'd say some sort of club. Obviously, make sure it's legal where you are. I don't want to encourage people to do anything, bad, but you might want some sort of baton or, bludgeoning instrument to actually protect yourself. At the moment, I'm not very worried about being nuked. Oh, actually, saying that, all of the SAR bomb footage has been declassified by Russia now. So if you guys have not seen that, it's definitely worth checking out the new footage that's come out of SAR bomb. Although a lot of it, again, is still kind of, you can't see much because of how big the bomb is. It's just sort of whiting out cameras. But some of the after mushroom cloud shots are amazing. Kima says, howdy from Texas. Shit's going crazy over here in the US and hurricane is about to hit me on the coast. Right, hope you stay safe then. Hope you're doing well over there, base gas mask man. Yeah, I'm all right at the moment, thanks. But yeah, I was certainly on about some of the US stuff earlier, which is it in, what is it, Minnesota or somewhere? Where's Milwaukee? I have to actually have a look on BBC now to see which state it was, but yeah. Wisconsin. Yeah, it was Wisconsin, yeah. But, saw some of that and that was fucking crazy. Yeah, that's a flak jacket we put on earlier because people were on about Riot armor. Yeah, probably because they're a bit of a terrorist group, aren't they, Hayden? As I was saying, individual people that are, think the cause is a good thing aren't necessarily bad people. But if you are actually part of a Marxist sort of political agitator group, you've probably not got very good opinions. Yeah, it depends where you are, Oliver, because obviously I get people watch from all over the world, so a lot of people are in countries where you can legally own batons and whatever. Yeah, I'd stay away from the beaches, radioactive cow, which is a bit of a shame, isn't it? But yeah, they're ruining it for everybody else. Well, I don't blame them for doing it, because it's a bit like the LA riots, isn't it? Where if the police aren't there to help you, you're going to need to defend your own stuff. I already just said just now, I don't think the risk of nuclear war at the moment is very high, but it's not exactly completely gone away. This isn't a political stream, but a lot of people want to keep bringing it up. Do you mean Sellafield with an S? A horrible fucking place where they dump radiation into the nearby areas, killing children. As I've said before, I'll be going up to Windscale at some point to take a load of readings for a video when I've got a few more Geigers arrive, because I want to prove the point, might not be very popular for doing it, that it's certainly not safe in terms of radiation levels in the area. I don't know, A-Truck Campbell. I don't know if it falls under a rule where they're allowed or not allowed. Flak jackets, if you've not got modern Kevlar armor, they're certainly better than nothing. They're not as protective as Kevlar vests because they're ballistic nylon, so they're bulkier, and although they are better at protecting you from impacts than Kevlar vests just because they're thicker. But yeah, in general, flak jackets are better than nothing, but they're pretty outdated when it comes to protection. Yeah, that's the thing, Adam, is I really hate the people who go like the children deserve to die in that, you know. Like I said, a lot of their parents were crazy cultists, but the children did not deserve to get killed by, you know, government. 7, Tyric. If it had a bigger face guard, it would be almost a 10. But the actual visor lowers the score a bit just because the visor doesn't really cover enough of your face. I assume it's meant to be worn with some sort of collar that, you know, does that. But yeah, it is crazy, Chris. I saw there was a thing, wasn't there, where they're saying, "Oh, we don't need tanks in the modern day." That sounds like a big, you know, mistake. Because I mean, obviously, tanks are very useful still. As much as, you know, I think it seems like a lot of nations are going more with lighter armored vehicles with auto cannons and, you know, missiles now. There's still a place for main battle tanks. Yes, you can, Chadiversity. I've done videos on them. Although steel plates are a bit kind of impractical due to weight. Thermoplastic's where it's at now, but sadly I don't have any thermoplastic plates. These are for shouldering a rifle. Sadly, because of YouTube's rules, I can't show you it. But the idea is when you've got your rifle there, that stops the stock from slipping. You sometimes see on modern vests, they've got these on like the right side, but this has them on both sides in case you're left or right-handed. So the point is that, you know, when you've got a rifle up, the stock pushes into there to stop it slipping. Probably not, Adam, because it just says firearms. So I assume anything that looks like a real firearm, even if it is or isn't. Chips, I assume you're being stupid with that comment, because if you look at everything behind me, how much of that is gas masks? Yeah, cheers, Oliver. Originally, shed on fire, yes, but around the time of the Vietnam War, they became standard issue to soldiers, and then were replaced with lighter Kevlar vests later on. But the point was, if grenades and things go off, they give you massive protection, because it was generally found that most soldiers were killed in wars via shrapnel, not by bullets. So the idea is a flak jacket and a helmet protects most of your vital organs from being punctured by shrapnel. I have no idea what Cardi B is. Oh, cool. Did you get a proper one, Weirdo Unknown, rather than the French ones that people keep calling the Polish ones? But good if you've got one and like it. In theory, Sabork, I don't see why not. That's pretty cool, Adam. I assume that was a Kevlar one if it was from the 90s, not ballistic nylon. Yeah, but sadly, Aiden, the issue is the cost of doing it. And because I'm chronically ill, moving to a place where there's not socialised healthcare would actually be very bad for me. Just because with the UK, I basically pay about £100-something per year to get unlimited free prescriptions. So any doctor's visits are free, any medication I need is free. It's all covered on that money. Whereas in the US, I think a lot of insurance companies wouldn't even cover me because of underlying conditions. I don't know what those look like, S. Soberteric, unless you... I don't think I've heard of those. I might recognise it if I looked it up, but... Yeah, we were on about that earlier in the stream, Jan. I don't know what the GTR 40 on it means, shed on fire. I assume is it the 60 or the 40mm variant you've got? Yeah, especially for me, Oliver, because generally once every week or 2 weeks I have to pick up prescriptions. So if you times 12 months a year by like 2 to 4 times, and then it was like the £9 fee, you know, I'm easily saving money with the prescription card. I don't know then, shit on fire. No, sadly, I don't have any British Riot armor other than these Northern Ireland issue flak jackets. That's French Riot armor, and I've got some British Riot gloves and some British Riot helmets, but I don't have any like the thigh protectors, arm protectors, that sort of thing. Considering I don't recognise the name Gamer Troll, I imagine not. Finnish M61s are good. Finnish M71s are good. Is it also the M69 they did? That's good. Nearly all Finnish masks are good. I don't have a single bad Finnish mask. Even the Finnish M39 from World War II is good. None that are mass-produced and being rolled out to everybody yet, Lord. There's a few that are in like developmental stages of various testing groups, but they're not like mass-produced and being dispersed yet. Sadly, they're in the other room, Angry One, but if you search my channel for public order gloves, you can find them there. Depends, I'd say, how many family members they've got straight 60s, or then I'd say at least 3 filters for each family member. But again, it depends what you're really prepping for. Here's the thing, Oliver, though. The majority of people, though, apparently who get it do develop good antibodies. So I'm assuming it's kind of one of those things where if you're unlucky, you can keep getting it, but most people won't. For all the people saying, do you own this, do you own that, search my channel, because it gets a bit frustrating to say yes, 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 or no, no, no over and again. I bought Chernobylite the other day, Adam, so I could end up streaming that at some point if I get into it, but at the moment, no. Just because when I stream video games, a lot less people watch them, and then YouTube punishes my watch time because I'm streaming things the majority of people don't want to watch. Yeah, they last for a bit, Oliver, but the point is how long do they last? That's the important thing. Are those the plastic encased ones, Daryl? If they're the plastic encased ones, they'll be absolutely fine in things like the rain. But none of them would be good if you submerged them. All of them would fail if submerged with water. Well, that would be good if they mass-produced a vaccine, but sadly they're not at that stage yet, are they? Yeah, I've not really played it properly yet, Snorky. I bought it last night after payday with the new Flight Simulator and some city building game. And Flight Simulator's still installing. Well, I'll resume it when I stop streaming because it's like a 90-something gig download. Kind of want the aircon on again today. It's pretty warm in here again. Right, Oliver, I would have used to always have said Blades and Bows, but they don't operate anymore. So if you can't get one from Blades and Bows, I would say maybe Prepper's Shop, do a lot of knives. I think he was joking, Marcus. Let me double check because he comes on a lot of streams. Yeah, he said joke, by the way. So I'll hide him. No, I don't have a PO box. They cost too much money. I'm not spending a couple of £100 just so people can send me random stuff that, you know, I don't trust to give my address to. Yeah, Prepper's Shop at the moment have a load of Kevlar vests in a good price. Let's have a look on there. Prepper's Shop. If they've still got them. But yeah, they did have loads and loads and loads of well-priced stab vests. If you go on Urban Essentials, stab vests, they really are in the modern UK. I'll put a link in, hang on. There you go, there's the link. So if you look through there, they've got loads of them for the £50 price, which is really good for, you know, some of these. they've got the one I've got, or a very similar one to the one I first used that I really liked, on there, a couple of variants of that. And they've also got these types on there. Either I'd say is very good for £50. Because, yeah, both of these are, like level 3A or level 2 Kevlar vests with a stab protective layer in it. Yes, Chrisu, but again, then it's just more you're buying like a plate carrier and putting stab panels in it as well as a Kevlar thing. Regular police vests are normally just pistol round Kevlar. Now, if rioters are using chemical weapons, then they deserve to get shot by the police, I'd say. I mean, it's bad enough if they're using, Molotovs or whatever, but if they're using chemical weapons, they're shot by the police and they deserve it, I would say. But let's not get too political. For the people who don't know, I don't live in America, so I can't stream live from the US if I'm not in the US. Yeah, that's a good point, Aidan. Isn't there lots of problem in a lot of states as well with all the background checks for guns taking too long to come through at the moment as well, just because of the over kind of stretching of the infrastructure around it? I already answered that, Baron. Check my channel. I've got a load of, Serbian, Yugoslavian, Croatian type stuff. Make videos you like making military bushcraft island, because if you don't like making the videos, I think it will show and, you'll get tired of it and other people will get tired of it. Weirdly, though, on YouTube streams, as I said before, you're still allowed to show swords. You're just not allowed to show guns. So I could say, look, I've got a sword. I'm not allowed to, show rifles for some reason, even if they're DAPs or airsoft. So there we go. Do I have a katana? Yes, I do. Let's get that helmet out of the way so I don't stand on it. But yes, I have got a katana. I actually like the katana a lot more than I thought I did. Would like it after I got one. But, I just don't like them as much as certain types of European swords. But, you could still chop people with it. Katanas are very sharp, but the edges dull very easily, simply just because of how thin the edge is on it. But yeah, it basically handles like a saber with quite a long handle in terms of like handling of it. It's nice that you've got a handle that can fit two hands as well. But, I prefer things with proper guards on them and everything else, like that cutlass, So when you're using it, your fingers can't get chopped off. The Suba, or whatever they call it on a katana, isn't going to give you very good hand protection, because if you look how small it is compared to your hand. Yeah, Prepper Shop's quite good. It's one of those sites I never used to use, but it's the closest thing I've found to Blades and Bows since Blades and Bows closed. Where's my falchion? Is that behind me there? Yeah, it is. This is still my favourite sword, although that cutlass comes pretty close. But this obviously is very easy to handle because of the small, length of it. Right, Weird Unknown, we keep saying don't bring up politics, but yeah, it's pretty frightening in my opinion. I don't mind saying, I think it's pretty frightening and I hope everybody stays safe there. But yeah, it seems law and order's totally breaking down. But yeah, obviously stay safe to anybody in those areas. Unfortunate enough to having to be dealing with rioters and looters and everything. No, I don't have a Scottish dagger. I've got a load of bayonets and a Fairbairn Sykes, but I don't have any like medieval style daggers. I've got like swords and maces and warhammers and things like that, but I've not really got any old-fashioned daggers. This falchion, just because it was the one I had custom made for me. I'd say that cutlass I just showed comes pretty close, but the falchion I like the most just because it was, designed for my height and everything. So, it's the one I've had the most practice using out of all my swords. So you can thrust of it pretty well, and of course, it's got a pretty good cleaving edge to it. But yeah, the falchion performs in a pretty similar way to a cutlass, if you've never used a cutlass before. Let's just get that out of its sheath again. Yeah, they're kind of pretty similar sorts of blades, really, a falchion and a cutlass. Because you can get slightly curved falchions as well, and them in different lengths, same with cutlasses. The idea is both of them can thrust and chop pretty well for close quarters combat. I'd love an SMLE bayonet stug, but unfortunately they're just too expensive for what they are. I don't really want to pay 100 odd quid for a bayonet. Let me look that up. So, Schiavona, is that? You have to remind me when I'm not on the stream, because at the moment it'd be a bit hard to type with these in each of my hands. But yeah, most old bayonets are really cool in terms of like length and practicality. Oh yeah, the fork falchions are pretty cool. Isn't that the really cleaver-like one, if I remember? I do recognise the name fork falchion. Yeah, Mad Jack Churchill was an interesting bloke, wasn't he? That's cool. I don't know, I'm randomly doing this, but why not? Builds up arm muscles doing this with swords. Cold steel knives are very expensive. A lot of people like them, but I don't know personally if I'd want to spend that much on a knife. Just because if you lose it, it's a lot of money to lose on a knife. Yeah, I've got a few watches. I've got nothing really special. The closest things to cool watches I've got are some old, retro military watches and things like Vostoks, but it's not a proper watch collection, according to some people, because I don't have Rolexes and Omegas in it. But, I wouldn't spend thousands of pounds on a watch. That sounds interesting, Weirdo 9, but yeah, you have to remind me when I'm not on the stream. No, swords do not come under firearms. A sword is in no way a firearm. Something's going very wrong if you've got Vostoks breaking on you. Either you can't use any watch whatsoever because you break them all, or you're not getting proper Vostoks, I'd guess. But remember, when people recommend Vostoks, they're on about Komanderskis and Amphibias, not like the cheap Vostoks made for, regular civilians. Thank you very much, Cold Taylor. I appreciate it. I would give you a thumbs up, but that's a bit difficult with my hand in a scabbard. Not a scabbard. Handguard. Womp. I'd personally save up for a Pasca Iden or Aiden just because it gives you much better levels of protection. I couldn't make one, but I think somebody should, is the answer. Actually, there have been historically gas masks built onto helmets, but... Right, let me carefully put these swords away now, without cutting everything up. So this is the cutlass scabbard. Here's my not proper falchion scabbard. Just the only thing I've got that fits it. That's secure enough. I imagine so, Chris. Yes, that's the problem you run into with basically any ballistic helmet, is that if the helmet is still strong enough to stop the round, you get so much back face deformation or, shock transferal that your neck or something else that's quite squishy will probably break. Again, it depends, because obviously there'll be rounds that helmet will stop where it won't break your neck. But yeah, in general, there's only so much we can take as a squishy human being. Yeah, that's the thing, Aidan. I think it's better, isn't it, just to have a mask that is very compatible with the helmet, as in you can take the helmet off, put your mask on, put the helmet back on, and they fit snug with each other. No, I've not got any World War II radio sets. Yeah, it depends what sort of machete, Oliver, but there's quite a few good machetes for not very much money. Nah, you need a license for ham radios, don't you? I don't think that's even just in the UK. You do in a lot of places. I wouldn't want to do something like that and then have to spend money on a license for it. But yeah, I'll head off fairly soon just because it's getting really warm in here. Obviously, it doesn't help I've got a bulky flak jacket on. But the problem is when I stream, I close all the doors up. There's no airflow. 300 seconds, I believe, Oliver. So what's that, like 5 minutes? 60 seconds, 120 seconds, 240 seconds. Yeah, 5 minutes. Oh, I've got something in the pocket of this. What's this? It might be an iron sight, if I remember right. Like I took it off a crossbow. I was wearing it. Oh, yeah, it's the front sight from a pistol crossbow. Look. Don't need that in the pocket anymore of the vest. Yeah, I like some of Condor's ones, especially like the cutlass style machetes, because they're pretty practical. Can you, Weirdo Unknown, post the name of that sword again? Because I've got my hands free now, so I can actually search. No, I wouldn't get a World War II Jeep because it would cost too much money. What's a nice vest? A vest that keeps you cool. As good, as cool, pardon the pun as that sounds, it wouldn't be practical most of the year, would it? And the thing is, most of the time, I just have aircon on in here if I want it on. Oh, that's interesting, Moira. I still have no intention to do it, but that's interesting to know, I guess, for anybody that, oh, Marcus won't like this now. That's just the art. But yeah, as you can see, these are pretty damn bulky vests. The old not Paskets, the old flak jackets. You can see how thick the actual panels are in there. Right, I'm going to search that as soon as I put this vest down. That's the vest back. Let's search that. Right, hopefully the chat stops moving when I'm trying to copy it. I always wanted to get a Chinese Dao sword as well, but every single time I've tried to get them, they've always been out of stock. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. It reminds me of what do they call them? Like the basket hilt straight swords, sort of back sword type things. Yeah, you're right. I do like that. The closest thing I have to that, I could do a best helmet video, but I'd have to get all my helmets out to do it. But the closest I've got to something like that is this rapier. Obviously, that's a really long blade on this, but yeah. It wouldn't be very good trying to actually cut with this due to the size of it. Obviously, it thrusts well. But, yeah, that's the closest I've got to one of those swords, I'd imagine. But yeah, just the insane length for these. If you can see how tall that is compared to me. I mean, I know I'm not particularly tall, but still. The actual length of these swords is pretty insane. Stahlhelm is in a German World War II Stahlhelm. You're probably going to have to pay at least £100, and they're not very good helmets. Only get one if you want one for collection's sake. But yeah, stout helms are kind of like the really overrated helmets of, you know, there's also a thing called a backsword. See, the falchion I've got's a bit like a backsword, but if you Google backsword, that is a class of sword. A backsword is a type of sword characterized by having a single-edged blade and a hilt with a single-handed grip. It's so called because a triangular cross-section gives a flat back edge opposite the cutting edge. But yeah, falchions are kind of like backswords, but they're just kind of a rough class of swords, you know. Sadly, Carol, I did see a BBC article about that the other day. I hope it's not true, but it'd be a shame if we got rid of the Challenger 2. Yeah, that's the thing, Weirdo Unknown. There's loads of really broad terms, aren't there, for swords, but, you know. Adam, unfortunately, it would be very, very, very expensive to buy some Radia 4, assuming you're meaning don't drink it yourself, because if you're telling me to kill myself, you're getting an instant block there. If you mean just doing Geiger counter tests of it, if I could buy antique stuff like Radia 4s and that, I would love to buy them to show just how crazily radioactive they are. But sadly, they're like very, very rare collector's items. Okay, Rich, thank you. Effectiveness and working well. Soviet SS Leto is really good. The Finnish MO5 camo, I don't have any, but that's really nice. Yeah, messes are cool, aren't they, Sparrow? But again, messes are very similar to falchions. Have you ever looked up the Civil War Bowie sword? They're interesting. One of my mates bought one. I've never had a chance to use it, though. Here we go. Let me link it. These are quite interesting if you just literally want a giant knife as a sword. They're currently out of stock, but yeah, one of my mates has got one of these. How long is it? Blade length 45 centimeters, 45 cm 2 inches. What's that in inches? 17 inches. So yeah, it is a pretty short for a sword, but it's kind of interesting. I've taken one to my local antique shop, and there was never anything with radium on in there. Problem is, my local antique shop, if there was a radium like clock in there, it would be probably, they'd want 50 to 100 quid for it there. They have no, you know, realistic view on prices there. Well, I'd rather they upgrade them straight 6 diesel than phasing them out and not replacing them. I already answered you on that, Baron. Shadowversity is an awful channel. Rich will tell you here, but Shadowversity was literally spamming on my videos going, your falchion's not a falchion. Watch my video to find out about falchions. But yeah, he was also saying incorrect things about bows. Scalagrim's good, but yeah, don't watch Shadowversity. There's my YouTube drama. As much as I get into it, but he came on my channel and started talking shit, so, you know. But yeah, Shadowversity is not liked among many people I know on here. Is that just a really, really long K-bar style knife, Aiden? I'm pretty sure I have seen that, but I've not got one. He's actually an Aussie, isn't he? So I should have done a different voice for him, but yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it, Oliver. Crikey. That sounds very interesting, radioactive cow. Let me know if it is actually thorium. That one showed a Patriot Campbell, but it's not actually a question, is it? Wait till you watch some of his videos, OK9, because he does, unfortunately, does some videos where he basically tries to say everything that's commonly accepted about certain things is wrong. I'm the only one who's right on them, which is why he annoys a lot of people. It's basically like, you know, if you read a book and then somebody says it's kind of like a flat earther, I guess, of swords. But we won't go off on a rant about him because I don't want to ruin the stream. But well, there isn't much going on Weirdo Unknown, because I just blocked him when he started leaving shit comments on my videos. But basically, he was just trying to advertise his videos by saying, you're wrong. As Richard just said, this Mysteries of the Longbow video was complete bollocks, and some of the videos where he talks about Messlin swords is total crap. There you go. Richard knows a lot about swords and bows, because he shoots very, very heavy draw-weight bows, and he does his own forging. So I definitely trust Richard when it comes to talking about steel quality and swords and whatever else. Thorium does give off quite a bit of gamma radioactive cow. It's just a lot of the gamma that comes off of thorium isn't read by Geiger counters due to the energy of it, because it's quite high spectrum. But there could always be radioactive cow, I imagine, stuff like uranium-238 in there and whatever else. If it's just literally earth powders of some sort that's radioactive, there could be a whole host of different isotopes in there. But yeah, let us know what happens with the spectrum test, because that would be interesting. So yeah, there's Scholar Gladiator, as you said, Scalagrim, Lindy Bage. I'm trying to think if there's any others I've watched and liked. I'm sure there's some other old-fashioned kind of fencing channels I've watched and liked. Yeah, I'm negative Bloody Monday, so that's all good. Off the top of my head, though, Weirdo Unknown, I can't think. But if I do think of one on another stream, I'll let you know. Ask Richard, though, while he's on. He might be able to tell you some good ones. There was a bloke who used to do really good videos on falchions, but unfortunately, I think he died of cancer, because his last video was telling, people he'd had bad results on a cancer test. And then he didn't do any other videos after that. So sadly, I think he might have died. But he'd done very good videos on falchions and like pole arms. I'm going to be literally on a couple more minutes Digital X Mage and I'm off. But well, Israeli masks are fine, Cheeky Breaky Gotnik, assuming they're real Israeli masks. But yes, the 4A1 and M15 are both good masks. Yeah, Forgotten Weapons is excellent when it comes to firearms, isn't it? All right, Max? Do you know what the channel was, Adam? Because I know I've obviously left comments on channels before, but obviously off the top of my head, I wouldn't know what they were. Any idea what the channel's name was? I'd have to look him up. But yeah, sadly, I do know obviously some YouTubers do pass away, don't they? I know, like, obviously a lot of YouTubers just quit because they get fed up with after a while. But it's always sad, isn't it, when you find a really good channel and then learn the person's died that did the videos. Depending what it's made out of, Tyrek, it would certainly protect you from some stuff. But yeah, I was like saying, I think that falchion bloke passed away. Let me find his channel. Just a second. Just so I can link you to the one I'm on about. Because it's worth giving him views, even if he doesn't, know he's getting views anymore. If I can find his videos. Sadly, this bloke's videos I can't see anywhere on the first page of YouTube. Although Shadowversity's videos are turning up like 10 times on here. But sadly, I can't remember what this bloke's channel name was. Let me just try. I found his channel. Hang on. Yeah, his last video was 5 years ago, and it was about his cancer thing. But, there you go. This is the bloke channel I was on about. That's all right, Max. No, I've not seen that, but yeah, you can. Obviously, I'll be very careful what I say, but yes, if you can literally just make radiation from X-ray tubes, because that's literally what they do. But did the bloke say what that channel was called? I will check that out, Victor, because it sounds interesting. But yes, don't fuck about with X-ray tubes if you don't know what you're doing. I know they might have known what they were doing, but still, if literally, even as me, like somebody who's into radiation, somebody said like, "Oh, you can do something that might produce hundreds of Rontgens per hour," I'd be like, "No, no, 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 no." You know, just because the idea of my cells splitting apart, you know, vomiting and having diarrhea and stomach pain and, you know, slowly decaying from the inside out doesn't sound like a very fun thing to do to me. But I will check this video out because it does sound interesting. So, Creo-san, let me Google him. X-ray gun experiments, I assume it's that one. Yes, I will watch that later, but yes, it is generally not a safe idea to make a very high-powered X-ray machine in your own home, for obvious reasons. You know, for... well, if you were on about buying Soviet rebreathers, they're literally sold on eBay. If you're meaning, did I hear about the time in Brazil there, like a cesium-137 source, whatever it was, from a radiotherapy machine got ripped apart and killed people with radiation poisoning? Yes, I know about that. Sadly, that's not just happened in Brazil. That's happened in a lot of places because radiotherapy machines really need to be disposed of properly. But thankfully, I would be perfectly aware if I was being exposed to horrible levels of radiation. Nearly always eBay G for George or Army surplus stores. I don't know, Sabork. If it's a new filter, it might just be like a weird plasticky smell. But as you can see, at the moment, this is absolutely fine. If I put the probe of this, though, onto the DP63, it reads about 30, you know, like 30 microsieverts, micrograys, but there's nothing wrong with 5G. I'd quite like faster speeds. Of course, you could always use a really retro colored Geiger counter. There we go. Refer to the color code on it to work out how dangerous something is. See, we're fine. Right, stay safe, everybody in America, where they're going to be hit by that hurricane, you know. It's a shitty enough year as it is. It's going to be bad if people lose loved ones and homes to a fucking hurricane now, isn't it? But yeah, like you said, it's not going to be good if people packed in shelters, is it? Military bushcraft, please watch what's his name's video on it, Electro Boom's video, where he explains that it's less energetic than light, so you really have nothing to worry about. Anyway, yeah, thanks everybody. I'll be off. Thank you to everybody that's donated and left sensible comments. We didn't have too many weird people on today. It was quite a good stream, actually. But yeah, my main message to people is obviously, please do stay safe, especially the people in the US at the moment, because I know it is going a bit fucking crazy there, isn't it? G for Georgia, I'm assuming you're trolling now because I've fucking done that over and over. But yeah, right, stay safe, everybody. Have a good evening. Goodbye.